Hi everybody. So at this time you should have your character already figured out who you're doing. So this is Gretel from Hansel and Gretel, and she is finished. And I'm going to be taking you through the process today on how to get started. So I have my yarn that I'm going to use. So I'm using black for her shoes. And you can thread it on one of these long tapestry needles, or you can use no needle at all. It's up to you. So when I'm getting started, just like any other weaving that you might have done in the past, I am going to start by either going under or over the first string. So I'm going to start by going under. So under, over the next one, under, over. So it's an alternating pattern. I am going to pull my yarn until the end, the tail is right here at the edge of my piece of cardboard. Now when I come back, I start from the other side. And I need to look at what I've done here. And so right here I'm under, and I need to do the opposite. So weaving is all about using opposites. So this time I'm going to start by going over and then under. Over and under all the way across. Pull my yarn, and here's a tip. If you did not tie your yarn onto the eye of the needle, make sure that you're grabbing it. I'm going to pull up at a diagonal and then pull down. This is called a weaver's bubble, and it's going to give me a little slack in my yarn so that my strings will stay straight. So now I'm back on the right side. Again, I'm going to look at what happened here. So my black yarn is over top of the white string. So the opposite of over is under. And so I'm going to come pull my yarn up at a diagonal and come down, weaver's bubble, and push down. Now this is a little extra loose, so I'm going to pull just a little bit, always watching that my strings are staying straight. And I'm going to come back the other way. So here it is, my black yarn is under the white strings, so I'm going to go over to start, over and under, all the way across. It'll take you about one whole string to do your feet. So I'm going to stop right there. And I'll be back when my feet are done. All right, so I'm back and my feet are finished and my little tail is over here. The tail can end anywhere. It doesn't have to be on the side, so don't worry if it's in the middle. I'm going to get my next piece of yarn ready here, and in the stories, Gretel is wearing a skirt, so I am using a skin color here for her legs. If you are having your person and they are wearing pants, it's the same process for weaving. It just depends on your color. Now the legs are going to be really interesting because, and you might notice over here on her, one leg is thinner than the other leg. That's because we have an odd number of strings on here. So one leg is only going to be 3 warp strings, and the other leg is going to be 4 warp strings. You don't want to have a string in the center. Notice there is no string in the center just hanging out. So you can choose whichever one you want to be 3 and whichever one you want to be 4, and we're going to come in with the same kind of weaving. So I'm going to start over here. So I'm going to start to weave here, and I'm only doing 4 strings, so I do need to pay attention. So there's 4, and now I'm going to come back, and I'm going to hold this piece down, this tail, so that as I pull my yarn, I don't accidentally rip that out. Weaver's bubble, come on down, and then go back. And again, I'm watching here so I know which way to go. My strings are still all straight. Nothing is starting to come in like this. So when your strings start to pull in like this is called hourglassing. It's really hard to weave when hourglassing gets really bad. So if you are always doing this weaver's bubble, then you probably won't have that problem. Okay, so I'm going to continue to weave this one piece of yarn, and I will be right back when it's done. All right, so I have one leg done over here, and you can see I'm just leaving that extra tail right there. Again, wherever it ends is fine. So now I have this other leg over here, and you'll see it's only 3 strings. I'm doing the same kind of weaving, and if I haven't mentioned it yet, it's called tabby weaving. So I'm going to come over or under and over, pulling all the way, and then I go back. So the pattern of your weaving, this going over and under, hasn't changed at all. It's the exact same thing. You're only changing the number of strings that you are using. Okay? And I am also making sure that these strings are staying straight, so I'm not pulling my yarn too hard. All right, so I'm going to finish this leg and then we'll be back. Okay, so now I have both of my legs are done here. They're about the same height. Now this side was one whole piece of yarn and this one's going to be a little short. Well, there's the bell. I need to wrap this up. So I'm going to trim just cut my extra yarn off here. How do you know when to trim it off? It's when they're the same size. I've also been sort of pushing them down so you don't see the string inside there. So as long as you're pushing them down, tap them like that, they're the same size, that should be fine. All right, so I will start a whole nother video for if you're doing a skirt. If you're doing legs, you would come up here to the top of the dotted line, and then you're going to start weaving all the way across. All right, until next time, happy weaving.